Way to go, Tic Tac!
That's how you punch.
Wakanda forever!
Nah, you wouldn't have heard of me.
Let me put you on hold.
Dance off, bro! He's a friend from work!
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
What up, guys? It's Dom, and welcome back to another movie review. Today we are going over and ranking The Wild Robot. The Wild Robot, released in 2024, written and directed by Chris Sanders. After a shipwreck, an intelligent robot called Roz is stranded on an uninhabited island. To survive the harsh environment, Roz bonds with the island's animals and cares for an orphaned baby goose. Now, I did not think I was going to like this movie as much as I did. I knew it was going to look great and that it had a lot of emotion to it, but I didn't think it would honestly be as good as it was since it's a kid's movie, but I honestly really enjoyed it. So without further ado, let's just get right into the 10 essential aspects of a movie. The first essential aspect is plot. Now, I think this movie does a really good job with its plot, especially the character development. I think the actual character of Roz, seeing her turn from a just completely robotic, just no emotion, just there to do her task and then move on, turned into this self-knowing, self-feeling being that actually cares for all the animals, cares for her family, and is more than just a robot. And obviously, when it comes to this in real life, that is a scary thing, that a robot becomes self-conscious. And that's a topic that's been discussed a lot of the times. But in this movie, honestly, I was rooting for it. I really wanted that to happen because of the emotional impact that I knew it would have and because of how connected I was with all these characters. The second essential aspect is attraction. So obviously, the main target audience for this movie was kids. It was children. So it wasn't obviously directed towards me, but even me as an adult, I loved watching this movie. I thought there was a lot of stuff in there that was good for the kids to watch, but as an adult, since I'm more experienced and I know more, the stuff that I paid attention to elevated the movie a lot for me. I thought they did a lot of stuff that even if you aren't a kid, you can enjoy watching this movie, which I thought was good, because obviously there's a lot of kids movies out there where you would not catch me watching one of those just for fun. But this movie, I would love to rewatch and see it all again. So I think attractive-wise, it was very entertaining for both age groups. And I guess theme-wise as well, and the trying to message that it was kind of coming across, added the value there and made me as an adult also more attracted to it. The third essential aspect is theme. Now, I thought the main message this movie was trying to come across was you never forget where you come from. Now, it was in different levels in this movie. There was obviously the baby goose that Roz almost adopted, who never forgot the island that he was born in, that when he left and migrated, he came back because he never forgot that. And that's kind of the more basic message that they were trying to come across. But when it came to Roz, she started off as just a robot that absolutely just, her one job was to find someone, complete task for them. Once she's done, go back to the factory, and that's that. So technically, yeah, she could technically have that message where she doesn't forget about the factory and she doesn't forget her main reasoning for being there. But I think the bigger message is once she does evolve and once she has all these feelings and different way of living life, that she will never forget the family she's made, the friends she's made on that island. So even during the ending, which I'm not going to spoil it, but even at the ending, doesn't matter, she still remembers everything. So I thought that was a big message to come across, and they actually nailed that one. The fourth essential aspect is dialogue. Now, I thought the dialogue in this movie was really interesting. I liked the fact that at the beginning, you don't understand any of the animals until Roz goes through her sequences and her programming and kind of just like sits there for who knows how long. You see so much things happening past it. And all she's doing is listening to every animal talk to start understanding their language, since she has like a translator inside of her for that reason. And she learned what the animals are saying and what each word means. And she basically learned the whole new language. And I thought that was really cool, especially when there was more robots towards the end of the movie. None of them understood the animals because they didn't do the same thing that Roz did. So I thought that was very important part of the movie, and it made the dialogue a lot more interesting. So I gotta say, when it comes to character development, seeing that dialogue on its own was incredible, especially since she also learned how to kind of wing it a lot more. I forget what the word they were using in the movie was, but kind of like make stuff up, because all she knew in her programming was the dialogue that was given to her when she was built. So the fact that she learned this new vocabulary, she learned what everything means, especially with the language, you can actually see more character development just with her voice, not counting everything else that you see her encounter. The fifth essential aspect is acting. Now, obviously, this is voice acting since this is an animation, but I think all of the voice actors did a really good job. There wasn't any character that really sounded out of sorts. I think all of them honestly did what they were supposed to, so I have no complaints when it comes to the acting. The sixth essential aspect is cinematography. Now, the cinematography in this movie is the best part. I have to say, the visuals look amazing. There's so many moments in this movie where I'm kind of just in awe with how good the movie looks, which is a big plus. But then when it comes to the emotional part of cinematography, that's where it got intense, because I have to be really connected to the characters or the movie in general to really cry at it. And there was a lot of times where I was really crying in this movie. Like, it really hit me, especially towards the end. But my girlfriend, I mean, she was crying the whole time. So this movie nailed it on emotions. It really knew how to connect the audience with the characters and with the story that's being told. So they did a really good job with it. The seventh essential aspect is editing. So this movie is an hour and 42 minutes long. I think that's a great length. They kept it short and sweet so that the story wasn't too overwhelming, but they still had enough time to develop all these characters and make you actually feel for these characters. Now, it definitely helped because there was a lot of times where there was just a time lapse and kind of showing you what's happening, but in a quick way instead of prolonging the movie, which definitely helped a lot because it had this explanation of what was happening and showed character development without wasting too much time. So I think what they did was smart with the editing and the pacing, and it definitely elevated the movie and helped the plot at the same time as wasn't so long that it was obnoxious. The eighth essential aspect is soundtrack. Now, the soundtrack, it was good. It definitely fit the movie. I liked it when it was playing, but it isn't so memorable that I'm going to remember. I watched this yesterday. I don't really remember too much of the soundtrack. I do remember that I really enjoyed the intro and outro credit soundtrack. I thought that part was really good throughout the movie. Also pretty good, but definitely forgettable. The ninth essential aspect is directing. Now, I think it's the director's job to take these previous 8 essential aspects, put them together to make a movie that's worth watching. And the director of this movie is Chris Sanders, and he has previously directed 4 movies, and they are Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, The Croods, and The Call of the Wild. And I know all of these movies, obviously, so I have experience with his movies. I think he does really good. He does a really good job at directing. So I'm not surprised with this one. This one was an absolute masterpiece, and he continued on from all those good movies as well. So I have to say, is it worth your time to watch this? 100%. I definitely suggest it. And the 10th essential aspect is time. I think this movie will stand the test of time. Now, obviously, it just came out. It's still currently in theaters, so who knows if it will, but I definitely hope it does, because this really is cinematically a really good movie. Definitely one of the best I've seen in a very long time. And the fact that it is a kid's animation that is still accessible for adults and for older kids that actually still want to have a good watch, I think it'll definitely stand the test of time. Because I don't know of many movies besides, obviously, How to Train Your Dragon and Toy Story and those kind of Pixar movies that adults can enjoy almost just as much as kids. So I gotta say, it's in pretty big company, and it definitely deserves to be there. Now, onto the reviews. So, Rotten Tomatoes critics give it a 98%, Rotten Tomatoes audience also gave it a 98%, and IMDb gave it an 83%. Now, me personally, I definitely love this movie. This movie is amazing. I do not believe it belongs in the 98%. There is still some things that could be changed. Not much, but still could be. It's not a perfect movie, so it can't have that perfect 100. And 83 I also think is slightly too low. I just think it deserves to be in that 89, 90, 91 range. So low 90s to upper 80s I think is a great range for it, and that's where I would personally put it. And finally, the rankings. So, in 2024, it is going to be first above Smile 2. Now, this to me wasn't really a hard decision. Smile 2 is a really good movie. It has really good acting in it. And I just feel like there's some points in that movie that it wasn't perfect, and there was a lot of stuff that kind of did bother me. But I still really enjoyed this movie. And the real reason why I really made sure The Wild Robot was above it is because it is a movie I could rewatch so many times. I can watch The Wild Robot today again, and I'd probably still enjoy it. While The Smile 2, you have to be in the mood to watch a horror movie, and it is really high up on my list. It's higher than a lot of other movies. And that's really just because of just how realistic it was. which is why it deserves to be in the second spot. But I still think The Wild Robot checks off so many boxes. It has barely that are unchecked, so it just deserves to be up at first, and it probably will be for some time. And in the 2020s, it's the same deal. First, above Smile 2, again, for the same reasons. I'm not going to waste your guys' time. And in all time, it's going to be fifth, above X-Men Days of Future Past and below Joker. Now, it's above X-Men Days of Future Past because it just matches well with being able to have two different audience types. I feel like kids enjoy this movie for different reasons than adults do, but adults can still very much enjoy this movie. While X-Men Days of Future Past has a specific targeted audience, it is really for adults that, or not really necessarily adults, but people that love Marvel. If you don't really enjoy Marvel, you're not going to enjoy that movie as much. Now, I'm a big Marvel guy, so it was kind of hard to put this above Days of Future Past. I just think plot-wise, character development-wise, in general, the look of it, the cinematography, it all has these great things that really do push it above it. So I had to put it in fifth. It definitely belongs in my top 5 currently. And it's below Joker because Joker is just one of those movies where it has basically everything you want in a good movie, especially for people that love DC like I do as well. I'm a big Marvel and DC guy. I'm a big comic guy. So I liked seeing this iteration of Joker. It wasn't obviously as good as Heath Ledger's Joker, but it was still a really good movie that had great cinematography. It had amazing acting. It had such good acting. And in general, the movie, when you're watching it, when I was watching it, I get really invested. Doesn't matter how many times I've watched it, I'm going to be as invested every time because the character is so interesting and has so many layers. So I just think both Joker and The Wild Robot are really good cinematography wise and plot wise. I just feel like Joker, maybe because it's more targeted towards me and less so kids, maybe that's why it clicked with me more. I don't know. I just clicked with it a lot more, which is why I couldn't see myself putting The Wild Robot above that. That's all I have for The Wild Robot. If you guys enjoyed this review, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And make sure to comment what movie you want me to review next. What did you guys think of this movie if you have seen it? And by the way, if you haven't seen it, go to theaters now. It's still in there. Definitely go watch it. It is definitely not a waste of time. And what did you guys think of it if you did see it? Because I honestly went in expecting it to be just a kid's movie. It's going to be one of those where I'll like it, but it's not really going to be too entertaining. But no, I found myself very entertained. I loved the whole concept that it had, and I was just invested in the movie. So let me know what you thought of it in the comments. And before I go, make sure to go check out Mr. Majoritarian. His link is always going to be in my description. He is my best friend. He is the guy that got me into reviewing movies, and I could never thank him enough for that. So definitely go check out his channel. And I hope you guys have an amazing night. Peace out.